Get ready, everyone, and you just might survive. Ruben and Jason are here with their X-Men deep dive. Going through all the X-books is their mission, so get ready for the Learned Edition. Things are getting weird in here. Ruben hopes another sword book gets announced this year. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind.
Welcome all you weirdos, people who will miss seeing Ryan Stegman art on the X-Men, and everyone who mourns the death of one animal by killing another animal. It is time to receive your 183rd Weird Dose of X, the mutant member of your Weird Science podcast family. I'm your not very good at Russian host, Jason, broadcasting to you as always from the Wrong Turn studio, perched high atop stately Weird Science Manor. And joining me from his secret vault filled with Mysterium, it's my pal Ruben. Hey, Ruben, how the heck are you today?
Great. I need that Mysterium because our economy is going to collapse any day now.
Well, we will be moving to Mysterium-backed currency any day now. I heard it from the Fed. So before we go on, I do need to issue a little bit of a correction, maybe more of a clarification. A couple of weeks ago, when we were talking about the final issue of Expatriate X-Men, I questioned Eve Ewing's use of Russian. Now, I said up front, I don't know a whole lot of Russian. It seemed kind of weird to me. When Colossus was trying to get that limbo demon to stop attacking, she had him say the Russian word stoyats, which translates to stand in the infinitive case. I wanted it to be more fitting to use the imperative case, stoitya, which is what I learned many, many years ago in the small amount of Russian I took. Now, I was able in the past few days to contact a fluent Russian speaker about this, and no surprise, Ruben, Eve Ewing knows more Russian than I do. What it is that in Russian, the use of the infinitive as a command is something that's done. It conveys a very brusque, kind of a rude tone. I'm told that this is done in Russian if you're commanding like a dog or maybe in a military context. So I think in context, it makes perfect sense that Colossus is trying to say to this demon thing, hey, you got to listen to me. And he's talking in that mode. So, hey, we learned some Russian today. I don't think we have any other linguistic lessons to go through today. We'll see what comes up. We never know. Because today we're back from Age of Revelation. We finished up from the Ashes. We finished up the Age of Revelation, and now we are on to the Shadows of Tomorrow. How do you feel, Ruben, about this new... Is it a new era? Are we still just calling it post-Krakoa? I don't even know what we call these things anymore.
Yeah, there's nothing in this currently that makes me feel like we're definitively in a brand new era. This seems like a continuation of the most recent post-Krakoa era, but this is still definitely tied to the event we just got out of. So I'm waiting and seeing, like, is there an overarching theme that's going to make me think that we're in something that is distinct?
I think it really depends on, is this Dougie in the present still going to be a continuing issue, or is this a quick 3-issue arc and then we're done with that and then we're on to whatever the next thing is? So today, what we're going to talk about are X-Men 23, which is the blowback from the Age of Revelation. We also have Wolverine number 14, and then we'll chat a little bit about Nova Centurion number 3, because, we can do that. No one's going to stop us. And Ruben, this is a spot where I would usually say, but first, let's talk about the Infinity comic. There is a new Infinity comic, but Ruben, you and I talked about this offline, and we decided we're really not going to cover this one, other than, I guess we're covering it right now, but you know what I mean. What did you think overall about this Infinity comic? What's your perspective on it?
I don't particularly like this one, but it's just because I don't know where we are. It's pretty ungrounded. It feels like sort of the X-Men 97 universe, sort of the 90s universe, but like nothing exactly makes sense. And it's a very specific team. It's that 90s team, but I just wonder why.
Yeah, it is. And it's certainly not in this continuity, not in the comic book continuity. Yeah. I'm told it's not really in the 97 cartoon continuity. I don't know is it in a continuity? Is it Is it just something to be out there? I've seen rumors, or some people said, hey, maybe this has to do with setting the stage for when there's more X-Men MCU movies to have something to sell for that. But yeah. It's written by Steve Orlando.
I'm just generally confused. Yeah. The 90s run went forever, right? And so I recognize these characters, but I don't know, is this like at the beginning? Is it, year 3? Like, who knows, right? And Wolverine's talking about how he's fought Omega Red before, and I felt like the 90s was like maybe, I know it was in the story they said, oh, this is Omega Red, I know him from the past, but it sort of feels like the dialogue that Orlando's using makes it sound like, oh, I've tangled with Omega Red like several times, and everybody knows that.
Just to set the stage, we got all these 90s X-Men. They're living in the mansion. Charles Xavier was there, although he gets kidnapped off screen, but he's been there. And Magneto's a villain, where he says, he and Charles have been friends in the past, but everybody else treats him like he's the biggest villain on the planet. So it's very strange. I'm probably going to keep reading it because I subscribe to it anyway, and I'm cheap. I like to get my money's worth. I don't think we'll be talking about it much. If anything happens and it turns out, oh, this actually does connect somehow, we'll certainly bring it back up. But until then, Jim will be happy because he always was he never liked that we covered the Infinity comic. So, Jim, you got your wish. Here's some non-Infinite comics next, and we will turn to, there it is, X-Men number 23, which is Legacy number 323, which means that those issues of Age of Revelation, Amazing X-Men, they're not being counted in the Legacy number. The cover of this says that it is an Age of Revelation epilogue, and the interior title page gives the issue the title Assassin. It is written by Jed MacKay, pencils by Tony Daniel, not Ryan Stegman. And Ruben, Ryan Stegman announced on whatever social media thing he's on that he's not doing X-Men art anymore. What do you think of that? I was kind of surprised to see that.
Yeah, his message was a little bizarre, in part because he talked about how he liked X-Men fans, well, most X-Men fans. I'm like, did something happen? Did somebody chase him away from the title? I really don't get it.
I didn't get the impression that there was any one specific big fan reaction. I think it might have been just the steady drumbeat of lots of, you know how people are online. Not like us, Ruben, the other people. I'm sure if you're any high-profile person getting lots of people talking about you and to you online, that's gotta wear on you. And I think X-Men fans are probably a little worse than others, some others like that. So he is going to be writing an upcoming annual. He's written a couple issues in the past. He's going to be doing some of the art for that annual. I think it comes out in March. But yeah, otherwise, he's done with the X-Men. Kind of a bummer because I really liked his work in the X-Men. I think we both did. Netho Diaz, who has been the other main artist on this series, he's going to be sticking around for the foreseeable. But Tony Daniel looks to be basically stepping in to replace Ryan Stegman for however long going forward. Now Ruben, are you a Tony Daniel fan as far as the art goes? He's a pretty well-known artist himself, so it's not like they're bringing in a noob, a nobody.
Yeah, he's all right. I think he's definitely a good artist, but I really am not that wowed by many artists. I mean, I recognize the art looks cool, but I'm not seeking anything out based on the art. I would say all I'll say about this is he's a big enough and good enough artist that I feel like it's appropriate to have him draw X-Men comics.
He is a name, and he will bring some of his own fans over, which I'm sure is part of it. He's mostly known, at least I mostly know him for doing Batman stuff. Mm-hmm. As far as just this issue, just looking at the art and ignoring the name, I'm not the biggest fan of things. I think it opens not very strongly. Like that very first panel, Cyclops looks like Beavis from Beavis and Butthead. He's got this horrible underbite. You'd think that if you're the new artist coming in somewhere, you'd want that very first panel to be wow. And this doesn't feel like it was really getting that done. So maybe it takes some time for me to get used to this look because I'm just used to Ryan Stegman. This is very different. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if Netho Diaz will still be drawing in that very Ryan Stegman-esque vein he had been drawing in, or if he'll also, be like a chameleon and try to look more like Tony Daniel.
Yeah. See how that I'm gonna miss Ryan Stegman. I did think his art was cool. It was very distinct, and it made me think. Artist. Yeah, it made me think of this era.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that artists come and go so quickly these days. That this will be thought of, I think, at least by me certainly, as Jed MacKay's X-Men era, where I know that he's just a writer and the artists contribute an enormous amount. But when the artists only do, one arc on, one arc off, and the artists even then don't stick around all that long, they don't put their stamp on the era as much as the writer who's going to be around for, I don't know, how many issues has Jed McKay written of X-Men stuff now? Probably 30-something, counting all the tie-ins and the Revelation stuff and all of that. So that's a lot of issues. That's a lot of Jed McKay going into shaping this era. Okay, back to the credits. So it was pencils by Tony Daniel, inks by Mark Morales, colors by First Fuentes Sujo, and letters by Clayton Coles. So in this issue, and I guess for the 3 issues that this arc's going to be, we get to see what future Cyclops did when his mind was sent back in time or across the universes or whatever into the body of our present-day Scott Summers. We once again see that fateful moment when Scott welcomes Dougie and company onto the team, and once again we see that moment when the consciousnesses swap, but now we stay here in the present, so we don't travel to the Age of Revelation, we stay here in the 616. And as we learned from the end of Amazing X-Men, what future Scott did when sent back in time was, well, he immediately tries to murder Doug to death, which I had laughed at last week. It didn't seem like much of a plan for, a great strategist like Scott Summers. But Jed McKay does flesh this out and makes me feel a little bit better about that. Because future Scott spent years remembering the exact location of everybody in this room, planned out the precise movements he'd need to neutralize those various X-Men, grab Magic's sword, and he was going to use that to chop Dougie in half. Pretty neat scene. And it almost works. He dodges Psylocke and Juggernaut, eye blast Magic, punches poor Glob right in the kisser, which seems gratuitous because he's not badass Glob right here. I don't think Glob was getting in his way. Almost works. He's stopped at the very last second by Beast. And why is Beast the one who ruins Scott's big old plan here, Ruben?
Because it's the original Beast.
It's the wrong Beast.
Yeah, he's also kind of the goody-goody Beast, right? But I kind of wondered, does this Beast, who's... The timing is so confusing, right? Like, this is the older version of Beast that missed a big chunk of time.
Who did not experience Krakoa and a lot of things before that since the 80s in publication time. So he is more naive.
So I'm just like, does he really have an impression of Revelation Doug, right? Like, or would he think, oh, my buddy Scott is going after this guy. There must be a reason for it. But it makes sense, right? It's not the Age of Revelation version of Beast that wants to come back and prevent the future from happening. So right. I can accept.
It's fun to think about because the Age of Revelation Beast is, as far as we know, the continuation of this Beast who missed out on Krakoa. So Age of Revelation Beast did not see Krakoa either.
Yeah.
Unless they do more shenanigans between now and then, and who the hell knows. Fun to think about. So Beast stops him because Scott's expecting that his friend Beast will be part of this plan, and not so much.
Yeah.
So future Scott ends up caught, forced into a helmet that blocks his eye blasts. I wonder if they had that just lying around, or maybe Beast, built one up real quick, and they lock him in the brig, which is where we saw him last week. So following the typical comic book pattern, after a fight, we get a dialogue scene. And Scott tries to explain the whole averting the future, time travel, age of Dougie situation, because nobody else here has any idea what the hell is going on. And they're really just upset about, they certainly believe him, right? There's no, oh, you're lying to us, because they can kind of tell this is not their Scott, and they live in this universe where time travel crap happens all the time.
Yeah.
Scott does not do a... Go ahead.
Of any superhero team, I wish I could get like a list of how many times somebody from dystopian future has come back and warned them. They'd just be like, oh God, this is like yesterday. We just averted a dystopian future.
Yeah, this email just showed up at the Avengers saying something's going to happen. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So they definitely believe him. They're really just angry at him for like kidnapping their Scott. Although he is their Scott, but in the future, but maybe not. Again, time travel is confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this Scott does not immediately do a whole lot to try to sell the team on the urgency of stopping Doug, right? He doesn't say, here's what the future looks like, here's why I'm doing this. That's kind of an interesting choice. I do like the exchange between him and Beast, where he points out that, Beast, yes, you stop me now, but in the future continuation version of you was who built the technology that let me do this. So it's like, you helped me do this, and then you stopped me from doing it. Kind of fun. Next scene is pretty neat, too. It's Bay and Doug having a sign language conversation in front of Temper. She sees the writing on the wall. She wants to get the heck out of Dodge. She does not trust these X-Men. She doesn't know them very well anyway. She thinks that, hey, she should have killed future Scott when she had the chance, when he was kind of stopped on the ground by Beast. Doug still thinks the situation can be rescued, that these X-Men can be part of whatever it is. What do you think Doug's plan is right now? Right? He doesn't have the virus plan in his head yet, does he? Do you think? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
And again, it might not be the same Dougie.
Yeah, I think at this point, he knows that he has this task that's been given to him. And I think he's trying to figure out what his role as the Heir of Apocalypse is. But he's been attacked by ONE, right? Or I guess it was Zero is what they called it.
Yes.
And so my guess is he came to the X-Men less to like initiate some sort of takeover of the world and more just to have, company and protection while you're being like accosted by the government.
He definitely knows he has a mission, he has a job to do, but I think he's probably still pretty vague about how he's going to go about doing that.
Yeah.
Another nice bit here is the reminder that Temper does not like Doug, because on Krakoa, she was sent to the pit, and Doug was like the warden in charge of the pit, so she does not look at him as a friend. Doug
which
says
I liked, and just quickly going back.
I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, I remember that. It was nice to hear it. And it gives me some more like characterization of Temper, right, and who she is and what she's thinking about these days. So I thought that part was pretty cool. But back to your question about like, are we in a new era? I mean, we're still pretty much, stapled to Krakoa, right? I mean, that's not a necessary detail point, but we're definitely doing a lot of callbacks to Krakoa,
which I like better than just pretending it never happened, right? I like the continuity, at least trying to feel like it's really all one story, which is nice.
Yeah.
So Doug says to Temper, I'm going to square our history once I'm done being the mutant Riker. Now, that's a pretty deep pill. And no Stork, sorry, he's not talking about First Officer from Star Trek The Next Generation. Different Riker.
That's what I thought it was when I read this. I'm like, is this a
crossover?
A Star Trek joke? Yeah.
No, it's Harlan Riker, who is a Deathlock character of all things. 1990s Deathlock book. He was created by Dwayne McDuffie and Greg Wright. Harlan Riker is a cyberneticist who creates the Deathlock cyborgs, which, very much echoes of the whole Sentinel story here in X-Men, but he's not an X-Men character. So he creates these cyborgs, and at one point, Deathlocks from the future come back to try to kill him, very much Terminator 2 sort of thing. They end up killing most of a family, except for one daughter who survives, becomes a Deathlock kind of cyborg herself. So that's what the connection Doug's making. He points out that he's a techie guy, Harlan Riker's a techie guy, so he follows this kind of thing. Also, there's a footnote to Avengers Arena, which is one of those books that I thought that Marvel was just trying to kind of forget ever happened. Because Avengers Arena was this battle royale death game kind of story that the overall publishing purpose of it was kind of to clear away and kill off a bunch of teen characters that Marvel thought were cluttering up their continuity. It does not have a good reputation because it just killed off a bunch of people. We last talked about it when, is it Justin Seifert? That the kid from Sentinels who had the Iron Giant type pal. He was part of that book.
Justin Seifert. Was that Arcade running that?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, yeah. So this was mentioned. I don't even remember what the context is, but this was mentioned again recently. Oh, it was with. Oh man, it's gonna come up when we get to Nova. That's where that female character was last seen.
Cammy,
yeah. So she was stuck in that storyline.
Weird that keeps coming back up because again, not a very well loved bit of Marvel lore. Okay, moving on. Scott has escaped from his jail cell. Guess that helmet wasn't as strong as they thought it was. Instead of going right after Dougie again, he's kind of smart. He goes to talk to Magneto. So Scott thinks that, hey, with Dougie all buffed out from getting apocalypsized, that's why he stole Magic's sword, one of the few things strong enough to actually kill Dougie. I guess even his famous eye blasts from the punch dimension weren't going to be strong enough to kill him. Has to go for bigger weapons. But hey, Magneto's like the strongest guy around. If I get Magneto on my side, that can actually kill Doug. Yeah. So now we get that discrepancy universe thing really lampshaded again. Our attention is being drawn to it over and over again. So something's got to happen here because this Scott absolutely has no idea what the hell resurrection sickness is. Magneto's pissed because Scott thinks he's super strong and Magneto knows he's not super strong.
Yeah. This is one of those ones where I was like, I wish I could see, this in like a movie. Because I just need to hear a voice, right? He's like, oh, well, I can't do it myself. Like, you can do it. And then there's like a pause. And then he's like, is this some kind of a joke?
You can kind of hear that. But the art in this scene is the strongest in the issue. This is really cool looking, especially the colors. The color scheme is all reds and purples, very, very Magneto color scheme. And it's kind of creepy. And as we're talking about creepy things and, it's at nighttime, so that lighting is creepy. It's a really cool look.
Yeah. I'm going to laugh at Tony Daniels. The art, I agree. Good, creepy, gets the point across. It's very manga-esque, though, in some of the gestures, because
I can see that.
You've got Magneto saying, like, I can't leave the chair, and then Scott's, like, hand up, almost like pushing away from, like, the horrible news that he's received. The chair, you can't leave it.
And then Magneto clutching his fist, like,
exactly. It's like super manga style here, but the scene when I read it, I was like, oh, this is cool. But
and then you turn the page and we get the reveal that Psylocke is sneaking up behind Scott and she's going to, put him back out with her psychic knife and such. And so again, that ends the scene, but McKay once again drawing our attention to this discrepancy that something is amiss, that this Scott's past is different than what's currently going on in the 616. And that has to be resolved soon. I certainly hope we're not going to keep teasing this on and on and on and on. We need to have some kind of resolution on that. But now Scott's back in the brig, strapped into a second, hopefully stronger helmet. Now Doug decides I'm going to talk to him directly myself through an intercom link. And Doug tries to make friends. Says, hey, I know you've been through some stuff. I don't want to do anything bad. I don't want to ruin the future. And hey, Scott, maybe you can help me not screw things up. And I think Doug's being perfectly sincere here. You get that feeling as well?
I absolutely agree. I don't think this Doug is psychotic, right? He's not invented a virus and killed millions or billions of people.
Right.
So I assume that he is, well-intended and he just has that mission.
Mm-hmm. Scott, not hearing it. He thinks Doug's new power is too dangerous, too inherently corrupting. Again, that purple man problem that we've discussed. So Scott says to Doug, I'm just going to keep on trying to kill you until I eventually succeed. And McKay picks a very specific set of words here. He has Scott say, quote, like they used to say, you need to be lucky every time. I only need to be lucky once. Ruben, do you know who the they are that Scott is quoting here? It was the IRA, not the retirement account. The Irish Republican Army, the terrorists. They said this after a failed attempt to blow up Margaret Thatcher in 1984. Direct quote of that. Now, they did kill several innocent people with that bomb. They just missed their main target. They weren't very good terrorists. Weird that McKay would pick I'm thinking, I don't think McKay is saying, oh, I'm going to quote the Irish terrorists. I'm thinking McKay thinks that is a badass thing I heard once. I'm going to have Scott say the badass thing. That's my guess, but as someone who knows the source of that quote, it feels really weird. Probably just not on purpose. That's your history lesson for the day. So what do you think Scott's trying to do here? Is he just being honest or is he being strategic? What is he trying to get Dougie to run away? Why is he telling Doug, I'm just going to keep trying to kill you? I don't really know the answer to that. I'm kind of wondering.
It's a good question. I think he's maybe saying it to himself to kind of try to inspire himself, because right before that, you see him sitting in the cell. This time he's got his head kind of down. He's looking a little down, right?
A little self-pep talk?
Yeah. And I don't really
pep talk?
Yeah, and even though he knows he's doing this to prevent the future, I assume that he kind of remembers that this Doug wasn't a monster, right? You kind of have to dehumanize the target in order to be able to carry this out, unless you're just
reminding himself why he's doing it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Whatever Scott's intention, the result is that Doug does decide that, hey, Bay was right. I should listen to my wife. We got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And that is where the issue ends, with future Scott still in the brig and Team Doug fleeing into the cold Alaskan night. So yeah, I thought this was a pretty darn good issue. I am glad that we do get to see this time period from future Scott's perspective, something I had been asking for, basically since the beginning of Age of Revelation, so I'm glad we get to see it. And yeah, I don't know where it's going to go. It's only a 3-issue arc. I don't know, is Doug's status going to be resolved here? Or is the Revelation thing going to be a long-term threat? I don't know. Could be fun either way. We definitely need some kind of resolution on the timeline confusion. I want to see where Doug thinks he's heading to because, again, I guess he and his family walked to Alaska. I don't know where they're going to walk to from Alaska, but they're off somewhere. You have any overall things you're hoping for or looking for from this arc?
No, I'm just going with it to see where it goes. But I'm kind of wondering if at this point, I mean, you could have if you wanted to get away from this storyline quickly, you could say he's not really shielded by the X-Men. He gets taken out.
Okay.
And then, that maybe causes some kind of conflict of some sorts.
And they send him to what, like the Savage Land or something? What do they do with him? Right?
No, I just mean he gets assassinated or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then you have, I guess, Apocalypse pissed off.
Then you have
get
Bay
back into
and
another
Warlock and yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think if I'm going to guess, I'm going to say that the timeline thing will be discovered and Scott's going to realize, hey, this isn't the Doug I'm looking for. The Doug who did the bad things isn't this Doug. Killing this Doug would not change my timeline. So, oops, sorry. And we know that this Scott ends up back in the Age of Revelation anyway because we've seen that. So that's my guess is that revelation, pardon the pun, is what resolves things. So I enjoyed this a lot. The art, not my favorite, although, again, that one Magneto scene above and beyond. So I guess if I didn't like the Beavis look at the beginning and I really did like that Magneto conversation scene, that more than balances out. But I'm glad that we're still talking about important things. I'm glad that it feels like a continuation of the story that's been going on and not just, here, let's do something different. So I guess I'm going to give this an 8.3 out of 10. Pretty darn good issue. How about you, Ruben?
Nice. Gosh, I hate the 0.2, 0.3, all that. It's like, I'm just going to say 8.5. I liked it. It was great.
8.5.
Yeah. It continued the story. It reiterated that, that one detail about the timeline not lining up exactly was intentional, which we assumed. I mean, we kind of had some confidence that it was the case, but
again, maybe I'm being fooled because I thought that revealing the secret to that was going to be at the end of the event, and that didn't happen. So now I'm hanging my hopes on, well, it's got to be the end of this arc. It's got to come up sometime.
Yeah, as I said before, the Age of Revelation really felt like parts of this X-Men story.
Yeah, should have just been an arc of X-Men.
Yeah, and now it really feels like that's the case. Like, get rid of the changes in titles and everything and toss all the chaff that you had. But I understand they got to sell floppies to make money.
Yeah, some people bought all those. Can you believe it?
Oh, God, yeah, those fools.
Those idiots. Okay, so the next issue of X-Men doesn't look to be a direct continuation of, Dougie and Scott and that story. It's going to be centered on 3K, which pretty exciting, especially since we now know who their chairman really is. Although I guess in this story, it's future Beast who's stuck in the chairman's. Anyway, we'll see some stuff about 3K, which I'm kind of excited about. We may even get to see
Schwarzschild,
which would be exciting because I am honestly curious to see what Schwarzschild is like going forward because he was such a fairly major part of the event.
Yeah, there's a big picture with. Is it Jonathan? Is that the clone of Eric?
Oh,
Lesnar?
The Magneto clone. Yeah.
Yeah. I think his name's Jonathan. Anyway, it's probably something else to make a scream at me. Tell me who. Joseph, there you go. I knew it was the J. Yeah, we see Joseph a little more prominently in this picture. So it makes me wonder, is his story going to come up? And then I started thinking, is he somehow involved in the resurrection, like degenerative disease? Like, are they going to say something about
I can
maybe
see
the
that.
fact that his powers are around? They're like wrestling for control of
Split.
global magnetism.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I like that idea. That certainly could be.
But anyways.
Okay.
I still feel like I can say the last thing, when I look at the picture of 3K, I need a lot more convincing that Wire is like on the same level as these other characters. He does not, to me, feel like
he's
the same caliber of
Yeah, he's definitely their errand boy, their laggy. He's not part of the executive team. He just does what he's told.
Yeah,
right.
If I had to get into fisticuffs with one of these groups, I think I'd try my luck with Wire.
Okay, we'll see if we can make that happen.
I probably have a 0% chance surviving against any of them, but I think Wire's the one you got a chance at.
Sounds like a plan. Okay, moving on to our next book, which is Wolverine number 14, Legacy number 406, Silver and Snow. Written by Saladin Ahmed, art by Martin Kokolo, colors by Jesus Abertov, and letters by Corey Pettit. So Saladin Ahmed begins a new arc here, and unlike X-Men, this has nothing to do with the Age of Revelation, which is fine because there's no reason Wolverine would have any idea any of that nonsense was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a very straightforward team up to protect weaker mutants kind of a story. We do begin with a callback to something much earlier than the Age of Dougie. It was that wolf pack that Cyber slaughtered back in issue number 1 of this series. And Cyber and Wire, I'm going to have trouble keeping them separate in my head because they kind of feel like the same character.
Yeah.
But this was Cyber.
Yep.
Now, Wolverine, in his own words, finally says a proper goodbye to that pack, and he does so in a Japanese-inspired style with incense, meditation, and a deer that he himself appears to have slashed to death. Kind of an odd choice, but I guess wolves are predators. He's a predator. He's not a vegetarian. I'm not a vegetarian. So it's not like it's wrong, but it felt weird to see that on panel, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of laughed at this. I mean, you're out in the woods, right? So I'm sure some carrions are going to come along and enjoy the meal you gave them. But yeah, it's kind of
do wolves
this whole thing
eat
with his
meat they find dead already? I don't even know the biology of wolves. You know,
something
ravens,
out there.
vultures, certainly something will. But if this is about the wolves, I don't know, not my thing.
Just like, fuck you, dear. Just
and you can see
that's a psychopath that Wolverine is.
The picture of the deer, it has the 3 parallel slashes because it's clearly Wolverine's claws that did this.
Yes.
And the deer's tongue is hanging out of its mouth. It's not very dignified, I guess is what I'm saying. It's got some incense in front of it.
How do you think he even accomplished this? He probably had like a sugar.
A wolf.
Like, how do you get so close to a deer? Like, he must have lured it. Come here, deer.
Like he was acting like a wolf. He ran through the woods like a wolf, and he ran up to the deer and he slashed him. I think that's what he did.
Yeah. It hurts my feelings. When I was a kid, with my dad, he was a airborne ranger. Okay. So we used to go camping a lot. He was like really into outdoor stuff. And we were out in Mount Rainier. And I remember we were in like the backcountry and we had 2 deers that actually came up to us. Like we fed one with marshmallows and I think the other was like chocolate.
Okay.
So you can lure the animals to you if you're
I hear that's a no-no.
serene. Yeah, but you're not supposed to do that. I did not kill the deers.
I was wondering where that story was going.
And then I choked him out.
My bare hands. Yeah. That's when my dad says, now you are a man.
Yes, he pulled out his Gurkha knife and...
So let's leave the deer behind. Really, the narrative purpose of the scene, Ruben, I think is just to have an excuse for Logan to be wandering around by himself in northern Canada.
Yeah.
They just needed to get him to this location.
I'm not a dog owner, so I don't. All this seems like overboard for me. But write your letters in, guys. Tell me if you had a wolf pack, you would mourn their death this much.
So now we get into the real meat of the issue, if you pardon the term. Logan's driving down the road in the middle of nowhere, and I guess his mind was really wandering, thinking about wolf stuff, because he flat out runs out of gas.
Yeah,
I'm a pretty forgetful guy, Ruben. I have never just run out of gas and not even known I was low on gas. He's like, boop-de-doop-de-doop, and the car just stops. It's not even, there's a blinking red light. I better get fueled up soon.
Yeah.
But again, just an excuse to have Logan walking around on his own, middle of nowhere, Canada. And of course, because this is an X-Men related book, he runs into 2 young mutants who panic and attack him. These mutants are called, these are not good names, Ruben, not good at all, Showdown and Deepfake. ChatGPT, I think, could give us some better mutant names than that. Those are tough names. They feel like parody names. So Deepfake is a younger woman whose power has something to do with her eyes. We don't really get to see her shtick. Showdowns is kind of older, hippie, redneck-looking kind of guy. He looks like the Tom Petty character on King of the Hill. Remember, there's like some character that Tom Petty voiced. That's what he looks like. Showdown has some kind of absorbing powers. Starts to absorb Logan's left arm into his chest. Somehow, between the panels, Logan pulls loose, except now he's shot in the chest by a rifle blast from Silver Freakin' Sable. We get a brief, perfunctory fight between these 2 named characters, but they quickly realize, hey, we're basically on the same side. None of us wants to hurt the kids. Let's stop fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So Silver Sable has been hired by some unnamed benefactor to keep this place safe for a small band of mutant refugees calling themselves the New Morlocks. Morlocks everywhere these days.
Yeah, but she's only here by herself. You don't see all of Silver Sable Incorporated. So I'm guessing this was not a high budget.
See, I always think of Silver Sable as being pretty expensive.
Yeah, exactly. She usually rolls with her whole crew, though, right? Like, she's usually got a merc squad with her.
Mm-hmm. She says something about, like, this is, like, she knows a guy, somebody she's worked with before. So maybe it's kind of like doing a favor, maybe a family discount situation.
Yeah, I think so.
But also,
I'm curious the parameters of this, right? Is it like protect them for 5 days, 10 days, right? Or there's not like a known threat, really. She's just kind of here hanging out.
Protect them forever because she's got shit to do.
Yeah.
And also, even with a discount, if you can hire even singular Silver Sable, you can buy a better place for these people to hide out than an old abandoned gas station in northern Canada. Right? This is a crap hole. So I think you're not spending your money very, very effectively here. You know, that meme about somebody who spends, this much on candles, this much on cable, help my budget. My family's dying. I'm spending all my money on Silver Sable.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But that's the story we're telling you.
Yeah. They're eating some really rough food. It's like, can you maybe go, who would be like a step below Silver Sable? I don't even know. There's got to be like a budget merc that you could hire and get some.
Even
some good
Deadpool,
food too.
Right? That'd be a very different story if this was Deadpool.
Yeah.
But we don't get to delve deeper into these ideas because now the real antagonists of the story show up. A bunch of Department H goons. Hey, remember Department H? They're sent to look into reports of squatters here. Logan and Sable quickly kick their punk asses and send them on their way. So now, Ruben, surely it's time for this little group of Morlocks to go somewhere else. Somewhere that these goons don't know about. Because, again, they're just at a crappy old abandoned gas station. There's no reason to stay.
Why? I don't know. Who's sending, like, the police to check out squatters of an abandoned town? Like, in deep woods, Canada. Like,
a lot of things just kind of happen in this story.
Yeah. And, like, can you imagine the CIA? They're like, there might be some people in this, like, podunk town in the middle of nowhere. Are you really going to deploy, like, a squad of, like, 8 guys?
It's Canada. What else are they doing up there, right? It's not, hockey season's over. They got to spend their time somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're not going to leave. I guess Silver Sable's contract says she's got to defend them here. And Logan's going to stick around because, well, he's got nothing better to do, and that's, it's his comic book. He has to stick around. And then the final scene, we cut to one of those Department H goons back at base reporting to his boss. Yep. And that boss is Agent Meta, first introduced in issue 2 of this volume. Remember her? Mm-hmm. She was the one Department H goon who wasn't completely stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It had seemed like Meta and Logan had come to some kind of understanding with each other, but that's out the window, I guess because he's associating with Silver Sable?
Yeah.
So, Meta, no more friendship with Logan over. Meta calls in the big guns, and Ruben, why don't you tell us who those big guns are that we'll be seeing, I guess, next issue?
Yeah. Well, my interest in this issue is like, a 0. And I'm like, this is kind of a dull issue. And then this page turn, I was like, holy crap. I was so excited for no real good reason. But it is Alpha Flight, the currently pseudo incarcerated, working for Agent was it Arsenault?
I go with
Arsenault, yeah. So she's taken over the role of Vindicator. So it's her and Guardian and Marina and Puck and Snowbird.
So Guardian's not shown on this page. Yep. He had been part of this team the last time we saw this team back in X-Men, I think like 11 and 12.
Yeah, I guess that's true. He might be benched because he was having kind of a power struggle with, you said Arsenault?
I'm going with Arsenault,
yeah.
But anyways, I'm sure it's French. I don't speak the French.
I should just say Vindicator. I'm just going to call her Vindicator from now on. But anyways, yeah, they were having a bit of a power struggle, right? And traditionally, Guardian was the leader of Alpha Flight. Yeah. So maybe she's like, I don't need this. You're on the bench. Mm-hmm. And they also,
Heather presumably still in a coma somewhere because she had overused that Nemesis power with the sword back in that late Raccoon Alpha Flight series.
Yep. And the last time we saw Sasquatch, he was up on the Alpha Flight space station helping their Heather and Matt's daughter Claire get to what's the Shi'ar homeworld called? Chandelar, something like that.
Chandelar, right.
Yeah.
Also a bunch of all those other mutants who have been sheltering in Krakoa North. back when there was a Krakoa North.
Yeah. And so, I mean, strangely to me, I guess Sasquatch is just kind of in the wind. And then we had, what's his name? Who's the Two Guns guy? I can't remember his code name.
Two Guns guy from Alpha Flight?
Yeah, he's like something like, this is great radio. Johnny Two Guns or something like, or Two
Johnny Two Guns, everyone's favorite mutant.
Two young men. That's what it is.
yeah. He's like a Native American shaman.
Yeah,
he's just called shaman. Right?
That's his name. Okay, shaman. There you go.
We got there. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. So shaman, he was basically he had been captured, but he's like a conscientious objector. So he's just sitting in prison. He's not going on missions. And then Marina was originally she was with Sasquatch on the space station still, but they said she had like no friends, and so she turned herself in because she didn't want to be on the lam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways,
and
I'm excited.
We just get a splash page showing these characters just kind of looking at the camera. So we don't know right now what their motivations are, how happy they are to be on the team, how they're being forced or manipulated. We just know this is who Meta wants to send out after Logan, and they're also these same 4 characters are on the cover of the next issue as well. So,
I mean, one question I've got is, are we going to deal with Heather? And is this like the start of Logan's romance with Heather that leads to like them getting married in 10-year time?
Once again, if it is the same timeline.
Yeah.
But I guess if there's a spark in the other universe, that could be here too. That could be a weird little love triangle between the various Canadians. Okay, so I definitely agree with you. The only interesting thing about this issue is that last page. Other than that, we've read this story 1,000 times, and 995 of those times, it was written better than this one.
Yeah,
right.
And
this
I was
is
hoping
super generic, not bottom of the barrel, but just we've seen it, and the motivations are just stuff happens to happen because that's how this kind of story works.
Yeah, I was hoping there'd be at least some reference to Silver Sable's like playing with Kurt, since Kurt and
that's the last
Logan
time we saw
hang
her.
out a lot, but there's like no reference to that. And then when there wasn't a reference to that, I was like, oh god, I just hope this isn't like ubiquitous Silver Sable hooking up with somebody. So it'd be like her and Logan, because then it's going to be like, oh, is she just going to sleep through the X-Men?
But there's some pretty crude terms, so I'm not going to go there.
Fortunately, they avoided those tropes.
Mm-hmm. Are there fans of Silver Sable? I don't. I'm sure there are. There's fans of everybody. Everybody has a favorite character. Every character has a fandom. But for me, she was just like
wildly ineffective.
Your generic protector, mercenary, more or less halfway decent, semi-good guy character. But I don't really.
I was just trying to think, like, in the last 4 times I've seen her, has she ever completed a mission? I mean, maybe this will be the time when she actually accomplishes it. But
let's talk about that. Do we haven't seen any of the other new Morlocks? Only these 2 losers, Chow Down and Deepfake. So let's do an over under. How many of these 2, Chow Down and Deepfake, how many will survive this arc? I'm gonna say 1. One of them will survive.
One of those 2?
I don't know which, but I think maybe a old hippie guy is gonna get killed off. Is my guess.
Oh no!
What do you think? Pick a number.
Oh man, 0.
I
don't believe in Silver Sable's capabilities.
That's probably playing the odds. That's probably pretty good. So if I say 1, you're going to take the under.
Yes,
sounds good. Okay, so I'm going to give this a 5.3 out of 10. It's not awful. It's a perfectly serviceable book, but it's just kind of clunky, and it only exists to get to that last page.
Yeah. I can't go under a 6 just because I like Alpha Flights that much, but
in metric, it's a 6. Okay,
I think you're probably giving it a unbiased score.
Maybe Solid and Ahmed has a twist coming up. Maybe we'll get more into what's up with Alpha Flight. I don't think that's where he tends to go with these books, but that would be the only thing that could really get my interest on.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to our final book of the week, which is Nova Centurion number 3. No legacy number. Bet it gets one eventually. This is called For the Core. Written by Jed McKay, art by Alvaro Lopez and Mateo De La Fonte, colors by Mattia Iacono, and letters by Joe Caramagna. So, Ruben, when we left off, Richard Rider was about to be killed to death by that ravenous guy from the Negative Zone,
Yep.
And why don't you tell us what the heck happens next?
Yeah, so he's getting. Yeah, I was going to say he didn't. He doesn't.
He didn't. Well, thank you for listening, everybody. Next week.
Yeah, so Ravenous is like draining his power, and then he gets jumped by the. I'm never going to get her name right, so I'll just say the accuser,
Right.
the short accuser,
Urquette.
Urquette. Okay, yeah. So she basically like pulls him off, and then he runs off. I guess she. I didn't know that the accusers have like Green Lantern rings, but apparently they do because she.
Yeah, that big hammer thing. We usually see them with a hammer.
Yeah.
And what do they call it? The universal weapon.
Yeah.
It is very, very Green Lantern. It's even green.
Yeah.
And she uses it to put like these glove things on Ravenous to prevent him from
draining
killing
Richard's
Richard.
Power. Yeah.
So let's just remind people that Richard is working with Urquette, who's a member of the
Kree Skull
War crime group.
Yep.
He's working with Albert, the battle accountant, who is kind of his main team member.
Yeah.
And they also picked up this Cammy chick we mentioned earlier on, kind of like a space version of Black Cat.
Yeah.
And they've been hired by the KSW to get back this Mysterium that was stolen from them. So they tracked this Ravenous guy down, and Richard has this huge grudge against him because Ravenous like killed off zillions of people in the Annihilation War. That more or less correct?
Yeah, zillions, and also specifically the Nova Corps.
Right.
So he has like a very specific grudge. Yeah. So yeah, there's this. They're flying away basically. Oh, we got to come up with a new plan. And there's a little bit here that I thought was just like a cool, like, let's show that Nova can do things other than just fly fast and crash into things. Where I guess he turns up his mental processing power fast enough that he can think for a really long time.
Yeah, and this is
like
drawn
in a split second.
Going to this like mental construct type space, and it has to. It's connected, I think, to the Nova Force, and also he has that super AI living in his helmet. I forget what the name of that thing is.
Yeah,
and I think that's what lets him do this. And he figures out, okay, this Ravenous guy, he can absorb energy. So if I keep pounding him with energy, it's like punching Sebastian Shaw. It's not helping the situation. Yep. So he needs to be more clever about this. And he tells Albert and Cammy, hey, I need you to go steal a ship. Mm-hmm. It's like telling Black Cat, I need you to go do a heist. Of course, she's going to do it.
Yeah.
So what plan do they come up with? Yeah,
so they're on this planet where I guess historically the Kree Skull War would be breaking down derelict ships into component parts. And I guess there's a
big old recycling center, really.
Yeah, it's a recycling center. And I don't really know what this vehicle is or does, but effectively you fly it over somebody and you can drain it of its power. I don't really know what this beam is.
Thing used last issue. They call it a matter energy conversion beam.
Yeah.
And I guess that does the opposite of providing him with energy. It sucks the energy out of him, not in a sexy way.
Yeah.
Which withers Ravenous to skin and bones. Richard Rider then kind of takes off all his Nova insignia because this is personal, not business. He borrows Urquette's hammer.
Well, and he also doesn't want
a bunch.
He doesn't want Ravenous then to just drain the power and get right back to what he was.
That's true.
Yeah. So he's got to go like power free, and he looks like John Henry, with his hammer, and just beats the crap out of him. He really beats him down. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, the sound effect is clud, which is really I can hear that happening. It's kind of got some very solid sound, little bit of the stuff breaking, and over again, big swings with his hammer, clud, clud, at least 10 times.
And after he busts out his teeth and everything else, Ravenous is still talking shit. And so then he's like, okay, now I'm going to get serious. He like drops the hammer and like goes to fists and continues to beat his ass.
One left hook gets a much huger sound effect than all the giant hammer blows, which I understand emotionally what's going on, but I think the hammer would probably hurt more.
Yeah,
I don't have a lot of experience being hit in the face with a hammer, but I would imagine.
Yeah. Richard Rider, pretty badass. Yeah. Then he reaches into his pocket and pulls out like three small bars of Mysterium.
It's not clear. I think we're being hidden on purpose exactly what's going on, but it looks like he reaches into Ravenous's pocket.
Yeah.
And pulls out 3 tiny little Mysterium chunks. Have we seen this symbol be like a symbol for one coin
piece of Mysterium
before? I don't remember I've seen that before, but stands to reason that such a thing would develop if Mysterium really was the intergalactic currency.
Yeah. So they say goodbye to
Urquette.
Urquette, thank you.
Right, because she's the one who they're kind of working with. She's part of their client, this KSW space baddies. Here's the 3 pieces of Mysterium we were able to find for you. Here's the bad guy. Sayonara, pay us for our services. Because he needs lots of money, because apparently running that super AI in his helmet takes tons of energy, and that don't come free.
Yeah, I mean, he should have just made the deal with Star-Lord, right? But he's a man
in retrospect, he's too proud.
Yeah, he's a proud man. So he's looking to drop off Cammy, and she basically says, "No, I'm not going to leave." And he doesn't really want her on the team, but I think she convinces him, well, if I'm on my own, I'm gonna essentially cause more problems, right? If I'm with you, not really. You at least
the old idea
have things for me.
You want me outside the tent pissing in, or inside the tent pissing out, is how it usually goes. So she convinces him. Yeah, she's on the crew now. But
and I kind of like this idea where she says, like, look, you guys are both fighters. I actually bring a different skill set to the team. So
she was like, somebody sneaky.
Why not?
Some kind of Black Cat energy.
Yeah.
But she's got another thing going on too, because this last scene kind of pops back and forth in time with her being brought onto the team, but also in the recent past, her having kind of poked around on the ship and found some stuff.
Yeah. So Richard had given Urquette what he said was the last of the Mysterium. Like, oh, Ravenous must have spent it or whatever. Who knows, right? Like, he kind of made it seem like, well, can't get that back for you. But Cammy had been in their spaceship and hacked some security door and found a chest, and inside that chest was all the missing Mysterium.
Piles and piles of Mysterium, and it's not entirely clear to me where this Mysterium came from, because there's no way that Ravenous had this in his pockets. Right? This is a big old treasure chest full of this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not really clear where Richard got it from. We get one panel here that shows, I guess, Richard Rider in the KSW space vaults. I'm not really sure what this is on the very last page. I'm not really sure what we're supposed to take from this. Did Richard steal this Mysterium himself? Because we know that the whole theft of Mysterium, Cammy says that she arrived kind of at the same time that Ravenous was already stealing it. So was Richard involved with that? Somehow, we don't know how, Richard got his hands on a shit ton of Mysterium.
Yeah.
And I guess that mystery is what's going to be driving the plot of the book going forward.
Yep.
Which is kind of neat.
Yeah, I'm curious about it. I did wonder how, I thought Mysterium was like super durable and she just cuts it with a knife. That was weird. But who knows what that knife is.
It absorbs energy. It's anti-magic. And she does look like she uses some kind of an energy knife to cut through it. Yeah. And then she bites into it. Like, that's the cliche of how you can figure out if something is real gold by biting it.
Yeah. That's because it's soft, right? Like,
yeah, I would think
a certain level of softness. Anyways, I would imagine Mysterium would just break your teeth. Otherwise,
especially if your teeth are magic. Magic
the
teeth
Mysterium
have no
Iron Man
chance.
armor is like garbage, right? It was supposed
you can just bite right through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad to see Mysterium still kind of being a thing, even if it doesn't seem to be the same thing it used to be.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're definitely a bigger Nova fan than I am. So I give this a perfectly fine 7 out of 10. The art's pretty cool. The big violent scene at the end feels very solid and meaningful. The look of the book, Richard Rider is drawn kind of differently than most Marvel heroes these days, so it's kind of fun to look at. Yeah, 7 out of 10. I think you probably enjoy it more. Richard Rider fans, Nova fans are going to like it more because you connect to it on a different level.
I agree all of that. I do connect with it. I thought the dialogue was snappy, but I'm going to be realistic with this one. I'm not as much a fanboy of Nova in general.
Okay.
And I appreciate seeing these characters, so I'm just going to go with a 7 as well. That was what I wrote down. I thought it was a perfectly serviceable story, but I do wonder, like, are we going to do anything significant in this book, or is this just going to be kind of fun Richard Rider missions?
Which is not the worst possible thing.
Yeah. I think I'm on board until the inevitable conversation where he, meets with Star-Lord again and some shenanigans happen, because I'm sure that's in the pipeline.
Well, we know there's more cosmic books coming, things talking about those new Guardians of the Galaxy, basically, and are the Inhumans involved? So you'd think that at some point, all these stories that spin out from that, She-Hulk, they'll probably come together for some kind of a crossover. And that could be interesting. We'll have to see how that comes about. But that is all I have to say about this book, which was, as I said, the final book for this week. And Ruben, next week, if I'm reading my spreadsheet right, and I do read spreadsheets better than I read Russian, it looks like we only have one book to talk about next week. Can that be?
I love it.
It is Uncanny X-Men number 22, which
love that.
the sequel to Murder Me Mutina.
Oh, God.
Who was that horror movie actress, but also an actual mutant, but the movies made mutants look evil, but she is kind of... Anyway, maybe we'll actually figure out what the hell her powers are this time. That's really what I'm hoping for. Not hoping for a whole lot else. But again, only one issue next week, which should be a fairly easy week for us. But as I say that, I'm sure something else is going to come up. And while we're waiting for
She's
the
the daughter of Shuvarak.
Oh my God! No. Oh, that is the callback we do not need. I don't need any more Shuvarak in my life. Ruben, while I try to recover from that horrible, horrible possibility, what can our other wonderful listeners do with their valuable time?
All right, read more X-Men comics.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
We don't need that. Which Jason would love. He loves this.